I think I'm live. I've got a header countdown here from Facebook, so I'm operating on my phone versus my computer, so not sure if I can see the comments quite so well. It's Janice Davies here from New Zealand, and so what I'm talking about today is solutions for bullies. Some of the things that we need to learn about them so that we can move on in our life, for a start. The pains, and what it is that what's actually happening in the relationship, even though it might not be a romantic relationship, the relationship with it, because it can be friends, families, colleagues, anybody. So if you are here watching me live, just put some comments in, please, and I should be able to see them on my phone, I hope. So just as we start up, just sort of wondering how people are all in lockdown. So I know the whole world is changing, has changed, and we'll never go back to the way that it was before this virus. And so it's a whole time of us reassessing our lives. What do we want? What are we willing to do to create something better in our life that is going to make us happier and more successful? So, you know, from all of those that we're talking about relationships, so it's looking at any relationships that we have that don't make us feel good, that don't support us. And so from that perspective, if that is that where we create new boundaries for ourselves. And that's kind of what I'm talking about today with these bullies who come into our life. So here in New Zealand, we've been in lockdown, as everyone else has in the world. And so what we've done is, you know, and thanks to our Prime Minister, and I'm hearing that she's, you know, New Zealand is sort of getting praise from around the world, we've been able to stop the COVID. We haven't had any new cases for 4 days here. And so they're deciding whether we've gone from lockdown 4, where we all stayed at home in our own little bubble, to lockdown 3, that we were allowed, some people were allowed to go out to work and things, and then lockdown 2, which we're at now. So we're allowed to have gatherings of 10 people, and we're allowed to extend our bubble to family. And we're allowed to open restaurants, and everyone has to be seated. So you can't just go and mingle in a bar. You've got to be seated, and you've got to be seated that 1.5 or 2 metres apart. So things are opening up in New Zealand, and but I know that for everybody it's a big change. It's never going to be the same. It is for all of us an opportunity for us to step up, and so that's what we're looking at relationships for. So and bullying, because while people have been at home, there's been a lot of angst with people spending more time with each other, and with and the relationships that they've had already got with, first of all, our closest relationships are with our families, and they are our biggest learning curves, and be it mum, dad, our siblings, our children, our partners. And then we walk out into our work environments, where we have our second lot of relationships that are going to create some friction for us. And when we look at this, because with our friends, we sort of can go in and out with our friends. You know, we can spend a couple of hours with them and not see them for another month. But with our work colleagues, we're seeing them every day. So we're going to be talking about some of those things here today. So for anybody, if you're with me live and you want to leave a comment and put a comment in the comment box so that I can sort of see what's happening, that would be great. And I can share. So I'm just checking out what's happening here. Share with what's going on. So we'll just move that to the side a wee bit. And answer any questions that anybody pops up here. So this will be available as a replay. And so the same sort of thing, it's about people sort of being able to tap into this information, which is absolutely going to change your life. And I say that because I know it changed my life, and I've been teaching it so much. So that's where I come from this. My bullying started my being a victim of bullying. It started when I was 15, when I was bullied at high school by some girls. They liked the boy liked me, and they thought that they would bully me, and, you know, then they might have the boy sort of thing. So that was the first one. It took me 18 years to realise how that had affected me, because what I had done is effectively shut myself down, and instead of being the person that I was capable of being, I was just staying in the middle of a room so that I could, so that I was safe, so that these girls weren't going to beat me up. And so I'd become a peacemaker, and therefore when my relationship with my partner then and then my ex-husband, I was still a peacemaker, so I wasn't being the true self. So basically I was hiding behind a mask. There was this inside here who was, you know, crying out because she was sad, and this one here was putting on a happy face. So I married a bully. So from then on I started learning about it, and basically the whole context was that my self-esteem was low. So therefore I wasn't empowering myself to be able to go out there and live my own dream life. And so from then on, which was 30 years ago, I've been on this journey, learning everything. I've been out in the corporate market and the business market teaching workshops, which was dealing with difficult people in tricky situations. And that, of course, included bullies. So, you know, got a lot of experience with them. And so as we go through our relationships, it's like, what didn't I like? What didn't I want to have that I had, that I could now change, so that when I move forward in my life, albeit I stay with that relationship or not, free will, that I can change, so things are going to change for me, because ultimately it's all about you being happy in your own life. So what we're going to look at here is that the different relationship scenarios, because you know, we get our relationship beliefs from what we've seen that our parents have had. You know, if my parents were married for all their life, whereas I became a single mum. So my girls' beliefs about relationships was different than what I had. And so that's where we sort of start our sort of what we think about how relationships should be. And then we just carry on with that, good, bad, or indifferent. When we find that they're indifferent, we have to make some choices in our life as well. And so with this, what I'm going to be talking about is a process called transactional analysis. And it's where there's three roles that we play as people: a parenting role where we're helpful and supportive, a critical role where we're putting people down, and then an adult role where we're wanting to have a great relationship. So we're kind of doing that in our relationships. And when I learned about this, it sort of started to make sense. But this next part that I want to share is the piece that made the most sense for me. And so within all those three roles, because what happens, the bullies put us down. We don't know how to react to them, so we feel not okay. We get hurt, we do what they say, we cringe, we get sick. You know, and at some of my workshops, I've had people that have left 3 jobs because they've been bullied. And for all of us, for every single person who is a victim of bullying, it feels like crap. It feels awful. We wonder why, when we know that we're a nice person, this is happening to us. Why are they bullying us and they're not bullying that person over there? And part of this is tricky for us, because what it means is that we've actually got to learn some new skills. We've got to learn to understand how we can push them back into their own energy space. Now, it can be our parents, it can be our siblings. And so, you know, those are the first relationships we have. And so when we're young, we don't know how to deal with it, so we kind of go with it, and it feels not okay. And so we take that thought pattern with us right throughout our life until we're a teenager, or we've got married and our relationships are not okay, and then we start to go looking for some answers. And that's the time that you change. So for me, mine was when I found out that my self-esteem was low. Therefore, I was in a bullying relationship because I didn't know I wasn't empowered. And it was just a continuous sort of, I could see how it all come together. So this process here explained it the best for me. So I'll put this up here. So I've talked about the parent, adult, critical parent, and the child. So the people that are kind of the relationship types of people we are. Now this here is called... Now we're going into the different types of scenarios, and there's 4 of them, different types of scenarios that we can have in our relationships. Now these ones here are obviously sad. So these here are 2 people in a relationship, which is a lose-lose relationship. Now in this type of relationship, everybody has got low self-esteem, everybody is dysfunctional, and doesn't mean to say we're not a nice person. It just means we haven't got the skills to be able to create a good relationships. So we can become peacemakers. At this level here, our communication is usually aggressive from one party and passive from another. So somebody that's pointing their finger and saying the other one to do it, and the other one, like I was, a peacemaker. So here at this relationship scenario style is where right around the world all the dysfunctional relationships are. So what happens here is that one person decides to move forward, and that was, in my case, was me. And so I moved out of the relationship, and I was what we call the leaving partner. And so therefore the other partner, who is the stayer, has to actually just accept what I'm doing. And they are more antsy and negative about it than the other person who is leaving, because the person who is leaving is positive and going ahead to create a new life. So that's at that relationship scenario style. So from there, we move on to this one here. So the other one was two losing parties, and this one here was win-lose, which I was just talking about. So this one here, that was, for example, me moving, or the person that's positive moving forward. And so, you know, or that person who has left the relationship is more positive, and so they become the winner. And this one here who is left stuck in there has got no choice to accept it. So it's what's called a win-lose relationship. Now, this scenario here covers a whole lot of things. As parents, we are also doing this with our children. We're the winner. We're kind of training our children who don't want to do the dishes, don't want to learn to cook, don't want to make their bed and all that sort of thing. It's also for teachers. You know, so this relationship scenario of win-lose goes across all different types of relationships. It's not just a relationship with our partners. So here, this person here is starting to build their self-esteem. They're starting to learn how to communicate. They know they want something better in life. They're looking for new goals and dreams, and they're going after it. This person here is blaming that person there for making them unhappy. This person was unhappy to begin with. So this is a win-lose. Still not a great relationship, but at least this person here is moving forward. So that's the second one. Now, the third one that we're looking at is what we just talked about in reverse. So this is a lose and this is a win. But what happens here is that, and I had this situation, this explains it the best. So at work, I had a colleague. I'd been warned that he was a bully before he even came to our work. When he did come, he was had to sort of seem to work his way around everybody in the class, all the tutors and the students. The students were complaining about him as well, and he was doing it to the teachers. So then it came to my turn, and he decided I'd got the promotion, and he didn't like it because he was a man. He was 6'4". He was tall and red face, or dragon face I call him, and he thought he should have got the job because he had more experience in tourism, so he thought, and I was in travel. So travel is, you know, like booking the trips. Tourism is in actually kind of the destination and what. So it's just a slightly different. So he thought he should get the job, and he didn't. So what he was doing here was blaming me for everything that was going wrong for him. Now, so the other tutor was blaming me. Now here, because I had learned about bullying, I'd learned about the system. I was then aware of what was happening. So therefore, I was able to counteract and say, well, hey, no, it's not me. So I'm now, because of my knowledge, my confidence, my awareness of what's happening in relationships, I was able to say, back off, buddy. Now, in this particular situation, my boss, who was again another man about 6'6", said to me, well, you're both in travel, you're both divorced, you both got 2 young children, you should go to lunch with him and be his friend. And it's like I said, no way. So again, another man was telling me I should put up with this crap from this bully. And so in that was that empowerment that I had so that I could move forward and still do my job. And as I said to the boss, I will talk to him when I need to talk to him, but I'm not going to go to lunch with him. And so I was able to put up a barrier around my desk. Actually, my mum said it should be standard roses right around my desk because our desks faced each other. But instead I just put some lavender plants and some books and things so that I could look after my own energy. I wasn't worried about him, too bad who he was, but that's empowerment. And that's what we're looking for in our relationships, because these people will try to blame you. So that's our third lot of relationship scenarios. So there's still a bully, and this one here has moved forward. Now, our next type of relationship that we're looking for is a win-win relationship, and that's this one here. Now, in this case here, both parties have been able to achieve their independence. They can communicate, they are confident, they know their goals. They've moved their sphere of learning about themselves and their lives right up to the next level. They're going to be successful whether they are with a person or not. But what happens is that they attract people who think the same. They're not interested in being with a bully because they don't like that sort of relationship. They just won't even go there. They're only going to interact with a person that they can have a communication with. And in this part here, right here, in between, is where the communication and the discussions having both respect each other, both are confident people. And therefore, this is the type of relationship that you're looking for. Now, to get there is a journey. I know thought I was here, but I wasn't, but I'm probably here now. So what you're looking for here is you've gone through all these 4 relationship scenarios. The top one is the lose-lose, where I was to begin with, and where people that are being bullied are. The second one is the person has moved on, and that's the person who was still left in the relationship, so this one's more confident. This one moves down and now understands about relationships and how they work. And this one here is trying to blame them. And this one here is saying, hey, hold it, buddy. Nah, not me. Your problem. So we've moved up the empowerment, the self-esteem, the confidence, the communication skills have improved, starting to know what they want in life. And in here, what's happening here is that the person has learned about themselves and also creating that win-win relationship. So underlying all of this is self-esteem. Up in low self-esteem, can't communicate, and some of the traits of self-esteem, which I had written down and I've talked about them before. Low self-esteem, don't know their abilities, don't know what they're good at, they're jealous, critical, no goals or unrealistic goals. Competitive relationships, so that's bullying. They can only feel good if they sort of, slam the door and make somebody else feel not okay. Blames others, don't understand their feelings, don't understand how to express themselves, can't say yes or no in boundaries. Won't make a mistake. They don't want to make a mistake in case they look silly. And let me assure you, making a mistake is the best way to learn. And we make millions I've made millions because that's how we learn. That's how people that are moving forward learn. You try something, doesn't work, you do it again. It's like going to cook muffins, forget to put one of the main ingredients, the muffins are rubbish. So next time, to put that ingredient in there. That's actually the same with life as well. So back to self-esteem, negative thinker, negative attitudes, and finds negativity wherever they go. So that's everybody here with an unhappy face. Everybody. They haven't gone on that journey to empower themselves, and so they feel better if they put other people down. And while the other person stays there, that other person becomes a peacemaker like I was 30 years ago, and their life isn't the best life they can live. So bullying, big learning curve in life. Some people are personality-wise, they're caregivers, and so their biggest challenge is they like to look after people, and in looking after people, they can also fall into that scenario quite easily because they like to they're people pleasers because that's their personality, but within that they've still got to learn how to create boundaries for themselves. So for any of you that are listening to this and you've got some questions, one of the things that you can do is book a success strategy call with me. We talk about it, we come up with some solutions for you so that you've got some new answers to be able to take you forward. Because without that, you're just going to go round and round in circle. Let me assure you, I could not be where I am now if I had not spent and done hours and hours of personal development, and nobody can. So it's about you deciding that you're ready to move forward and taking some action to make change. Otherwise, you're just going to stay there. So if you're here and you do nothing, that's where you're going to stay for the rest of your life. If you're here and you move out, you're actually on your path. If you understand bullies and you reject them now, you've moved to here. If you want a positive relationship, because you attract relationships at the same scenario that you are, if you want a positive relationship, which is down here, you've got to learn to be that best person. And in that journey, on that journey, you meet people along the way, in relationships that you learn, okay, well, I don't want somebody that's a smoker, or I don't want somebody that's an alcoholic, or I don't want somebody that's whatever. But that's actually your part of your journey in learning to discern who you really want in a relationship. So, book a success strategy call if you want to move forward. I hope that's helped you. The best thing in life is to have positive relationships, but in the end, it's all up to you. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and pop any questions into the Facebook page and I can help you there as well. Has anybody got any questions? I'm just not seeing what's happening on my phone because I haven't got quite as good a reception here. But never mind, so pop them into the Facebook page and we can go from there. Thanks for listening, everybody.